Hey guys, what's up? So this week is my last week of didactic courses in pharmacy school. Yay! So I'm really excited about that. And then we go on to Appies on June 1st, and then that goes all the way until May, and then I graduate. So, yeah, very excited about that. I only have 2 finals. One is in law, and then my second one is in therapeutics. We're in our GI module right now, so we will be testing on that. And it's all cumulative, so that's great. I also have a presentation due on Friday. It's for my self-care elective. It's advanced self-care, so it's a little bit more in depth than just regular OTC class, which is really nice since I want to go into community pharmacy. So yeah, I figured I would take you guys through a week of final studying, my last finals ever, and quarantine edition. So let's get into it. Okay, so it's a little bit later, but I've been working on my study guides, and then I'm gonna watch the videos to mark down anything that they say that is important and will be on the quiz or exam. So yeah, I will show you guys how I do that. So another thing I really like to do is write my notes on my iPad. So I'll have my study guide done, and then I'll watch the video, and then I'll highlight and write down anything that the professor adds. So this really helps actually for me to memorize things. So if that helps you, then definitely do it. And if you have an iPad, you probably prefer this way anyways. So I'll show you guys some of that. I usually keep it short and simple, nothing too long. And also whenever I take like a quiz or exam and I come home, I'll look at my study guide and I'll highlight anything that I remember that was on the quiz or exam, so that, you know, maybe sometime down the road the professor will repeat it and hopefully I get it right that time if I didn't the first time. So it's a lot easier to keep it in PDF version. Some of this, I know you guys saw me highlighting on the first part, but I highlighted extra stuff that I knew he said to know. And yeah, I'll just go through that and highlight certain things that I think might be on the exam, especially since they say them. I didn't really take a lot of notes on this one, I don't think. Yeah. Oh, here I did. But some of these, like, I took notes just to see and make sure that I would remember them. So like this one, this cofelimer or Mytessa, I don't even know how to say it, but you want to use it for anybody that's on antiretroviral therapy. So I made sure that I put that there just in case the highlight wasn't enough. Like for bulk forming laxatives, I put take with full glass of water. Like Trulance and Linzess are contraindicated in patients less than 6 years old. Like key things like that, I definitely wanted to make sure I knew going into the exam just in case they asked, like side effects. I don't always recommend these paragraphs because sometimes they don't really help you, but if the material is very, very long, then you may just have to do that. And it always depends. Some people can study with just their PowerPoint, but unfortunately I'm not one of those people, so I can't do that. So here are some of the ones that I knew were on like the quiz. or exam. Like I highlighted them in purple here. So I made sure that I remembered that. I knew this was like a key thing to know, so I put that in like a little box in its own little space. Let's see. That was a quiz question too, so I made sure I highlighted that just in case it ever came up again. And so were these. Those were quiz questions. I knew I had to know this 4-2-1 rule. But yeah, I don't think I have much writing on this one either. But, oh yeah, so this one was a quiz question. But I wanted to make sure I wrote it out there just so if I was just skimming it really, really quickly, then I would be able to just see that and then hopefully remember it for the exam. And yeah, so that's pretty much how I take my notes and how I study. And then when I'm ready to actually go through everything, I just sit there and I go through everything. It takes me a while sometimes, but I definitely like to go through it at least 3 times. Sometimes I only am able to hit it twice, but yeah, so that's what I do in order to study for an exam. When I'm learning treatments, I really like to actually rewrite them out, whether it's note cards or I'll write them out on like a big piece of paper. So, like I know, like my study guide, I usually put everything in it from the actual PowerPoint. So I don't really leave a lot of stuff out unless the professor says like you don't need to know this for the exam, then I just leave it out. But I like to summarize on a piece of paper if I have the time. But for right now, I'm probably just going to write down different treatments. So right now I'm doing H. pylori, induced peptic ulcer disease, NSAID-induced and non-NSAID, non-H. pylori. So I'll write down those treatments right now and then hopefully I can memorize them. Another studying tip that I like to do is writing everything on a piece of paper, so summarizing each of the categories that we're learning on one piece of paper. It's really nice, especially when you want to memorize certain things like treatments, different guidelines, different symptoms, exclusion criteria, like anything like that. Something that you, when you're getting ready for the exam and you have like 1 hour left, and that's literally all I look over. In that hour, I look over all of my summarized notes that I have, things that I know will probably be on the exam. And this has really helped me, so hopefully it helps you, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that. Okay, so this is what I mean by the paper notes. So this, I kind of have like the treatments for IBS-D and IBS-C, and this is for nausea, so I had the treatments for that, and then the treatments for CIC, opioid-induced constipation, and IBS-C again. So like I said, I kind of like to look over this like right before the exam. This is all for end-stage liver disease. Yeah, and then I went through like ascites and SBP, esophageal varices, HRS, and hepatic encephalopathy, and I kind of like to put like key things that, especially the stuff that the professor says. So here I have the treatment. There's a treatment for that. These are the most common organisms, and adjunctive therapy, and then I have treatment here, treatment there, and treatment there. And then this is for pelvic ulcer disease, I think. Yeah, so H. pylori, NSAID-induced, stress-related. Okay, so I have the treatments there, and then back here as well. And then treatment failure. So how you treat treatment failure for that. And then I kind of had to categorize all of these because I just didn't have them memorized, to be honest. And yeah, so I did it that way for that. And then I did acute and chronic pancreatitis. And these aren't all the lectures that were on our final, but they were just some of the new ones. So I have all like adverse effects too. And let's see. For eating disorders, I made sure I knew some of the risk factors and how to treat them. And NASH, we needed to know the FIB-4 score and what the MELD was. And then also the treatments, even though there really isn't any treatments. And then drug-induced liver and viral hepatitis. I'm not sure if we even had that on our exam. I think we just had this hepatocellular and cholestasis. And we just had to memorize those percentages. So I made sure I put that on there. And then Hep A, Hep B, and Hep C, I made sure with all these I knew what treatments go with what. So for Hep C, they were all different genotypes. And all these different drugs only go with certain genotypes. So I made sure I memorized those. Some of them were contraindicated, and the child's Pew scores of B and C, and then some of them also reacted with acid-reducing agents. So I made sure I memorized those as well. For Hep B, I made sure I remembered all of the contraindications and adverse effects of the first-line treatments, because more than likely that's what they're going to ask. And then for HbA positive and HbA negative, how long they're on treatment for, that's something that you should probably definitely know, especially if you're learning Hep B. And yeah, I think that's it. I also had a note card for, I think it was Hep B, of all of the different, like IgM, like HB, AG, and all that. So then GERD, I had the exclusion criteria because he said that he would be asking about that. Also alarm symptoms. And then lastly, the treatment, and then what they do in the stomach. So yeah, and then I also made sure I wrote some things about them too, like you always want to avoid some editing. That's a main one. Like in antacids, they contraindicate with antibiotics, and aluminum and magnesium, and renal patients, and when you want to actually use them. Hey guys, it is Friday the 1st of May, and I just took my final exam. Like I said, I have a presentation later on at 1, but I'm gonna get on a Zoom session with some of my friends, so I'll show you guys that. Also, I'm a P4 now. So I also found this really cool website. If you put in the Calgary Guide, it's the first website. And you can put, like, so say you do cystic fibrosis, and then hit go. And then it comes up to a bunch of different things about the disease. So pathogenesis, clinical findings and complications. This one is just the overall disease, and that's pretty cool. It has like concept maps and all that. Yeah, I actually have never used this, but I'm sure it would really, really help. I wish I would have known about this when I was actually in school. Now that I'm done with my didactic courses, maybe I could use this as just a like reference material, but yeah, I think that's really, really cool. It also says it's student authored and faculty reviewed, so students are putting this out, but it's also being reviewed, so you know that it's all factual information. But yeah, if you think something like this would definitely help you, definitely do it. Wouldn't hurt to take, probably would only take like 10 minutes to read through all of this stuff. Alright guys, so that's the end of my How I Study video. If you have any questions, definitely leave it in the comments below. Give the video a like, hit the subscribe button while you're at it, and if you'd like to see more. And yeah, you can always hit me up at my Instagram. It's still Miss Farm D to B, so you can always message me there, and I pretty much answer every single message that I get. So yeah, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye.
Missing someone, love with all your heart. Missing someone, love with heart. How much you miss it, and you deserve. Right from the start.